It is Friday, September the 3rd, and that means it's time for my News Radar. I don't think that the internet has been this excited about a new Pixel device in a very, very long time. Now, granted, the A-series devices have sold very well, but I don't think that they've really piqued the excitement, the intrigue, in the way that the Pixel 6 has been able to do. And because of this, I think Google is seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, which is that hey, people seem to be really interested in the Pixel 6. And the result of that is that apparently Google is reportedly going to increase production by 50%. Now, this Ars Technical article is reporting based on another report from Nikkei Asia. I believe that's how you would pronounce that, where Nikkei says Google has high hopes for the Pixel 6 range and has asked suppliers to prepare 50% more capacity for the handsets compared with the pre-pandemic level in 2019. They go on to say Google shipped 7 million phones in 2019, so Google is hoping for about 10.5 million in sales in 2021. Of course, as they mentioned here, Apple ships 200 million phones, Samsung ships between 260 million and 300 phones. So it's not as if Google is expecting to dethrone Apple or Samsung, but they are definitely hoping to sell more phones this year and into next year than they did in prior years. So for some reason, this article does spend the rest of its time talking about the Tensor chip and kind of taking a big doo-doo on that. And I don't really know why, because I don't think that that's why people are excited about Pixel 6. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think why people are so excited about Pixel 6 is less about Tensor, their custom silicone meant to kind of compete. Well, I don't want to say compete with Apple because that's completely not true, but their own custom silicone. I think it's more because of this thing here and this thing here, the big massive improvements to the camera, where we're no longer going to be using the same old 12 megapixel sensor we've been using since 1937. We're actually going to get a high resolution, physically large sensor with Google's AI magic. That's why we're excited. Ars Technica. It's not really because of Tensor, it's because of the camera. And it looks like we won't have to wait too much longer to get our hands on Pixel 6 because reports state Pixel 6 Pro will be launching in late October, which does kind of line up with Google's typical behavior of doing something in late September and then launching in early October. Maybe slide that up, event in early October, and then a launch October 28th. Which is great because that gives me time to talk about Surface Duo 2 a little while before Pixel 6 does come out. Front Page Tech is reporting pre-orders will start on October 19th. So again, that's right around the time you should be expecting the Pixel 6 event and then shipping on the 28th. Now, keeping with the Google Pixel 6 news here, we also have reports that the new Pixel stand for Pixel 6 could support 23-watt fast charging wirelessly. Now, I have this based on a retail source here, an image from a retailer, and 23-watt wireless charging is pretty darn good, especially when you consider that there are devices like the Folds that only charge at 18 watts wired. 23-watt wireless charging is pretty damn good. And when you combine it with 33-watt wired charging, it absolutely kicks the crap out of Apple's wired charging speeds and wireless charging speeds. So I think it's easily good enough. I've always thought the Pixel stand was quite good. Maybe a little bit overpriced, but it's a good stand and it has some cool features there as well. So one of the biggest features about Windows 11 that people like me are most excited about, sadly, has not arrived yet in the beta and dev channel builds of Windows 11. And it doesn't look like it's going to be coming anytime soon either. And what I'm talking about here is Android app support. Microsoft is saying that Android apps are unfortunately not going to be there when they launch Windows 11 on October the 5th. Although they are going to be offering some sort of a preview of that as well as they do get closer to launching Android apps. Now, this is a big bummer for me because I've talked about this in the past that on certain devices like a Surface Pro 7 or a Surface Go, we'll be talking about you here in a second, Surface Go, Android apps in Windows 11 make so much sense towards narrowing this app gap and also just utilizing a mobile touchscreen sort of form factor. Windows is great and websites, web apps, PWAs, these things are really good. But when you're talking about a mobile form factor in particular, Android apps are just going to be better because they're mobile apps that are built for this kind of thing. So hopefully Android apps do make their way to Windows 11 sooner than later. already a bummer enough that it's not going to be there at launch. You better believe that as these previews do come out, I've talked about Windows 11 on my Surface Pro 7. I'll be talking about Android apps on there as well as soon as that is possible. Although something that was inside a recent Windows 11 Insider build did in fact break the taskbar for some people. And what we're talking about here is basically a pop-up ad for Teams that was in a recent Windows 11 build. And something about that was breaking the taskbar for some people. So this report here via on Microsoft is referencing a control blog contributor, and this is what they said, and it's actually kind of funny. They said, quote, "I took a closer look at what got downloaded and caused the Windows desktop shell to become unresponsive. The problem wasn't caused by an update delivered through Windows Update. Instead, it was caused by a small file downloaded by a Windows component called Iris Service. Based on the Microsoft provided workaround, I narrowed the problem down to a registry key that contained a serialized JSON blob. The blob contained an advertisement for Windows Teams." So while this did happen shortly after people downloaded this latest Windows 11 build, apparently it wasn't delivered through Windows Update. It was delivered through sort of another thing. But at any rate, Microsoft trying to push Teams, breaking its own desktop. Kind of funny. And honestly, I kind of don't get this need to push Teams anyways. Like, people that are using Teams are using it for work because their work is telling them to use it. What person who's just installing Windows 11 sees a Teams pop up and goes, boy, I want to download that now? Like, who is this for? No, like people aren't using Teams. People are using Teams for their work. This just seems really weird to me all around. Are they trying to push Teams as like a Discord competitor? Sending it to individual normal people? It's strange. And let's end things today with that teased Surface Go news. We have a report here from WinFuture, and this is translated from German, so bear with me. There might be a little bit of weirdness here. What they are reporting exclusively is that on September the 22nd at this Microsoft event, this hardware event where we're going to get Surface Duo 2, we're also going to be getting the Surface Go 3. Now, they're saying that it's not going to be a huge change as far as the hardware goes. It's probably going to look very similar to the current Surface Go. The big changes are going to be under the hood in the actual internals because it's going to be running the Intel Amber Lake chips. And these chips do aim to offer decent performance with some pretty good efficiency, so battery life should remain pretty good on these Surface Go devices. Now, personally, I am a little bit disappointed because given the fact that Surface Go is and will be again a fanless device because of these processors that they use, they didn't go with anything ARM-based. And, you know, I get it on one hand, but on the other hand, I kind of would like to see it happen. These Amber Lake processors are basically Intel trying to ape the best things about ARM without being ARM. So just do ARM. Windows, 11 is going to be much better for ARM, as we've already seen on the Surface Pro X running far, far better. Let's see a new Surface Pro X, and hell, just take the Surface Go and make an ARM. Imagine the battery life. It could be really, really cool to just quickly shift that thing over to ARM, but not going to happen apparently just yet. So guys, that's all the news I have for you today. Be sure to check back every Monday and Friday for the next news radar. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.